Knight of Wands reversed. The reversed Knight of Wands, though it can sometimes indicate some sort of setback or delay, is still a very positive and upbeat card. It can sometimes indicate a person in your life, usually a relatively cheerful, good-hearted, energetic man with hair on the lighter end of the spectrum. He is trustworthy, in general. Knights are often a sign that you are about to get a message, whether they show up in a reading reversed or upright. Unfortunately though, if you are using the reversals for interpretation, the Knight of Wands in reverse can signify that the message will be along the lines of there will be a delay, you will have to wait. If so, try to wait patiently. This Knight means what he says. Work. There may be some sort of interruption with work. For example, you may be pulled away from the work you prefer to attend some sort of training or meeting. Or the building you work in may literally be shut down for a few days. Try to take this with as good an attitude as you can muster. If you are looking for work, hiring decisions may be delayed. Don't worry too much, it won't help. Love. The Knight of Wands reversed can indicate stress and minor arguments in an existing relationship. Try to get to the bottom of what is really happening. An argument about the toaster isn't usually really about the toaster. If you are looking for love, it's possible that you think you may have found the one and a permanent commitment may even come about. Be as sure as it is possible to be that you know what you are getting into before you tie the knot. You could be rushing things. Finances. There are sometimes arguments and disagreements over money when the Knight of Wands appears reversed. Keep your head, take things one step at a time, and do some soul searching about money. People often have issues and attachments to money which are not what they seem to be on the surface. This is definitely not a time to gamble. Health. This is not a time to overdo it with regard to exercise or new health regimens. Yes, you must support your health, but you don't want to sabotage yourself by going overboard. Be honest with, and get advice from, medical professionals that you trust before undertaking a new, strict regimen, whether that's with diet, exercise, or simply with taking several new supplements. You don't have to be perfect to be healthy. Spirituality. When the Knight of Wands reversed appears, you may suddenly decide to end a long-term spiritual practice or leave your spiritual community. This is not a decision to make lightly, of course, and there may well be many friends or family members who will not take it well or who will not understand. Still, the bottom line is that it is your spirit and your life, and if a spiritual tradition no longer works for you, there is no sense whatsoever in pretending that it does. This change doesn't have to happen all at once, you can gradually withdraw, if necessary. You will replace this with something that works better for you, even if that something is a fairly solitary contemplation. Tarot history. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco, to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called Carte de Triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarocchi began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and two male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the trumps and the fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, pentacles and wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. so care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909, not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.